Welcome to Colney Talk Podcast.
Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another episode of Colney Talk Podcast, a bite-sized show. I'm your host Alex, first-time guest, happy to have you here. And to my returning listeners, really glad you're joining me. On this bite-sized show, I'll talk a bit about the Arsenal game and then pick out my top 3 Arsenal players who I think were great in the game, and one player I consider the odd one who just had a poor game or not good enough, who just needs to be called out. Yes! Yes! Let's go! Sorry if I screamed into your ears, but this day, this game, we've all been waiting for, and a night we've been longing for. Oh my gosh. Vamos! 14 years. Can you imagine? Okay, the return of the Champions League against Porto. We all know what this game meant, what we had to do. Let me tell you. This team is made of steel, front to back, steel. No Martinelli, no problems. We got Trossard in. This game was very tight. I mean, couldn't get any tighter. The toughest game I could imagine Arsenal face this entire season, tournament, whatever matchup. Porto kept their shape and dictated our passing channels somewhat, but with your intensive press like they had set up, we were in for a tough one. And Porto's tackling was so intense that we just didn't get ourselves any rhythm in the first about 5 minutes in the game. I mean, this was another way for them to get us our stability growing in, and Arsenal were ready. They knew what was coming. Porto pressed, pushed, they dictated different sets of plays and formations and things that we tried. Arsenal had done brilliantly as well to manage it as much as they could. In fact, one of the tactics I caught was the way Porto was pressing and really trying to scare us while we were on the ball. But Arsenal managed to just deal with that and had an opening in the 10th minute with a nicked ball from Odegaard crossing into the box for Rice, but he just slipped and then the ball was cleared out. So that was the first. And then looking at how Porto pressed, they really wanted to, dispossess the ball in our back line, in our half, and they just managed to give us a little bit of that scare in the way we're playing through. We didn't, sort of fall for it as much, but there was quite some caution as needed to really play through and go forward. And we tried our best. We saw one of Arsenal's brightest moment running forward at the 12th minute of the first half with Saga on a great run into Porto's box with a shot, but was just a bit away from his body. But still, he connected enough. He tested the keeper, but he wasn't able to really control it very well. And we managed to regain the ball back for Odegaard to get his chance to at least try to shoot, but then it was cleared off for a corner. So our corner tally just started. A quick reminder that this was a defensive duel mostly. Even though Arsenal were the team on tap to play football and to win, Saka and Odegaard, Trossard and Havertz were connecting and moving on both ends with the balls and their 1-2s and really trying to get the defensive line off their rhythm and off their synchronized formations and how they try to get us crowded out. And it was really effective for Arsenal, that is. And then Raya's first test on the other side was in the 22nd minute with a direct shot in goal for him to palm out, followed by a couple of blocks. Take nothing away from Porto, though. They were playing whenever they were in forward. They were bright. They were on it. They were a really even matched up team. And defensively, as I said, it was more of transitioning from dispossessed ball, long balls, and then just driving forward, trying to cut us out of possession into our half. Coming out of Porto's press traps weren't as usual, but we really tried to manage that. Conversely, Wendell on Saka looked like an even match. He was just as physically, balanced with Saka, getting him off the ball, getting him off his rhythm, getting him off his attacking stance. But When Saka got his opening, he took it and he tried to make something happen. So that was Star Boy really showing up in his own way. Arsenal's play were promising though, up to the point around the 30th minute in the first half. Set pieces and corners as they kept coming was helping us gain momentum in attack, building up more of our threatening chances and at least showing that we wanted to score. And the Gunners remained strong going forward. They really did. Trossard going forward, Havertz really cutting through, playing up top. It wasn't as fluid an attack as you would imagine, but there were so many promising plays going forward. But Porto were equally feisty in defending, knocking Saka when he was on the ball, pushing and bumping, and this was a real physical game. Play styles was not a factor at all in terms of possessions, pressing, like that. I mean, whatever you may imagine, that didn't factor at all, unless it was something to open up the game, open up their lines, which it didn't up to this point. In terms of Arsenal's defending, though, Saliba had a tougher task, getting a yellow card, defending really close. I mean, something he had to do, but that was something early to notice. And then this game was blown up at the 40th minute of the first half. Trossard and Odegaard connecting with beautiful passes gave Trossard a chance to cut through the back line, giving him space to receive the ball, and he fired off his shot for a goal. Like, what a play. 1-0, game on. I mean, 1-0 to the Arsenal. This was really it. We defended, played our game, maintained the control, and this was one of the brightest attacking moments where everything went through, and this was a perfectly executed ball for the final shot, and they went in. Now the ground was buzzing. We got the momentum on our backs as we wanted. We got the crowd as they brilliantly did. This was how we wanted it to be. This is how we wanted to get in the game and really be in a position like this and take away that pressure of not just scoring yet, which we did. And that's how the first half ended. Second half, Porto wanted to show a bit of more teeth in attack, which they did. They started testing Arsenal, driving the box mainly through the right, putting a lot of pressure in Kiwior. Porto playing in our own half for a while. They sure were putting us to task. We hadn't done anything going forward in Porto's box except a corner kick. And that sprang up active set of plays for us. And around the thirds with a Declan Rice shot attempt. That was it, mostly. Porto's game plan was the center of attention all the way then, having the advantage in controlling the channels and brilliantly applying pressure on Arsenal. Thankfully, we limited the amount of drives until they got a free kick at the edge of the box. So most of the plays they had, they controlled the ball, controlled movement, but we just limited everything just around the edge of our box, moving them backwards mostly. A few of the drives they had going in, like I said, through the right, just didn't get so much of attempts to Raya, which he clearly handled. Even matched with Arsenal fans and myself getting nervous. Then from a throw-in, Havertz's pressure broke up a loose ball for Odegaard to kick in and open net. Goal! But then it was ruled out. Damn it. Then such a huge letdown. Disallowed goal at this point. It was a tough. I mean, that was a tough one. Man, this was a game. This was a situation where any goal, at least from Arsenal, as far as I'm concerned, that was disallowed, was not something to deal with. Like that was it. Because could you imagine all the energy to deal with this defensive team, the pressures of dealing with all the chances that they try to create? You score and then it gets called back. I mean, that kills. And just like that, heart and mouth, Arsenal defending on their end, Raya's block and then Kiwior's defending just saved us. I mean, yes, and the offside, but again, just as I said, that goal that was, called off, I mean, rightfully so, could have just been the death of us. But, thankfully Raya and Kiwior stepped up. Then the tackle delivery start arriving. I mean, this is when you could see heavy legs, tired legs, and his tackles trying to get the ball really playing dirty-ish in a way. Game getting tighter than ever. First sub, Jesus for Jorginho. And then his first touch would have been the goal. I mean, oh my word. It would have been a goal. Crushed through the keeper's legs, but, just didn't go through smoothly. And then back-to-back shots from Saka and Odegaard. So Jesus was the perfect catalyst to really get our attacking drives forward and getting us a little bit of that energy, which was very well needed, and it did help. It showed tensions all the way over the top for the home team, myself included, with at least a little bit more of the wind in our sails, hoping that something would come because Jesus was alive. He was bringing the players forward. Havertz, Odegaard, Saka mainly, they were playing brilliantly. Arsenal looked more in control at this point with a close chance for Odegaard to finish, a swift move to score, but he lost his balance, and that was disappointing. And that was the last meaningful play before the final whistle, full time, 1-0. Champions League extra time. Who would have thought? Sudden death feel from here on. Jesus looking more dangerous. Yes, he was a fresh leg. The Arsenal boys were playing their hearts out. I mean, kudos to all of them, and the home crowd was behind them, rightfully so. We had free kicks and corner kicks to help keep us forward, and that was pretty much how we tried to stay in front. Now I started seeing more of the heavy legs, as I mentioned. I mean, who wouldn't be? 100 plus minutes and counting. So whichever team could control tempo and the ball would be at an advantage, and that was more of Arsenal. Additional subs then, Zinchenko for Nketiah, and that just was at the end of first extra time. Then we started with the extra time, Arsenal trying a few combinations, but it was the game played just right in the middle of the park. But we conceded a corner, but we didn't. And from that, we tried to get a fast break, but nothing came out of it. And then another bright spot came when Saga got a shot, but was blocked, like a 1-2 touch that would have, been a chance for a goal or something, but was blocked. So defensive game all around, and that was such a hairy chance. And Zinchenko playing centrally and looking good in movements like we know him to be. That was another infusion in our attack and the way we wanted to play to keep pressure on them, attacking and staying on their side. One moment when Odegaard slipped, it scared me a little bit. I mean, I didn't know what to think. It was an injury, but he was not the first player to slip anyway. I think Nketiah also slipped, but thankfully nothing came out of that, no injuries. The Cajun match went on, heavy touches, missed passes around the edge of Porto's box, and that killed Arsenal's momentum to at least create something, maybe like a final kill chance, and that was it. There was no final push, and it was now the final whistle. That was it. It was now in the hands of faith and everything else. Penalty shootout, and the rest, the absolute rest, was literally history. Literally history. Whew. Arsenal boys and Raya were incredible heroes, ice cold killers in penalties. Like, what a game of intense football, guys. I mean, my goodness. Like, where do I begin? Okay, on to my top 3 players. First player, Odegaard, out and out captain. He was on fire, cooking up an attack, killer passes, and plays throughout the game. Massive in this game for everything that we wanted to accomplish. He was a leader proper, like a proper one, running his socks off even in extra time. He knew this was, play through the socks and your blood and the sweat. He was doing everything, and boy, he just was colossal. Second player, Saka. He was the other attacking spark in front of goal, getting fed the ball a lot, which was good. He had good moments, but he was faced with serious challenge. I mean, no doubt. Not to mention being tested on his strength, getting kicked, getting pushed over, getting knocked out. I mean, this was a man's game, and sure, he was able to deal with that. And if anyone is thinking you expect Saka to like bush through and everything, we're playing a really defensive team. So chances of performances were quite subjective to how, one would expect. But he played well enough because being fed the ball, there are so many chances and things that he had to create. But, I'm glad that he showed up this way. Third and final player, the hero of this game, David Raya. That's it, point blank. He saves and then more saves, penalty saves, that is, to take us to the quarterfinal. Incredible. I mean, what a night for this keeper. validation stamp on him at this point is already aged. I mean, we're not even talking about that now. I don't know who is. Special shout out to Trossard and Kiwior though. It was a grind out game. They produced solid performances, so definitely good to just give a shout out to them. It's hard to call out someone in this game though, because as tough as it was about performances, solid game, limited mistakes, limited any bonehead things in situations like that. Saliba with most mistakes, that was it, but not worthy of the tag of an odd one in this game. So, glad I'm not giving to anyone. Just like you, I waited to finally say, we are through. We are through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Well done to the boys, really. 2 weeks before we get up against another monster, and we know who that is. Well, we can milk this victory until then. Alrighty, I'll leave you here for now. Speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye.